Welcome to the FPL Gameweek 3 team selection video. Obviously, Gameweek 2 is still going on. This video is going out on Monday, so we still have Arsenal and Crystal Palace to play tonight. But speaking of Gameweek 2, let's jump straight into how I'm getting on basically so far in Gameweek 2 and just a quick overview of the game week from me so far before we get into Gameweek 3. So as it stands then, I'm currently sitting on 50 points this game week, which I think is actually a pretty good score. You can see we've got a wee green arrow there, we're up to 214k in the world. Put me on 132 points in total. So going through the team, ended up going for Matt Turner over Sam Johnson. We're going to see how that ends up playing off tonight. I think Johnson could end up with a few saves, but I don't think he's going to be keeping a clean sheet. I think in general Turner was the better pick. It's just unfortunate that Sheffield scored. But yeah, 2-pointer from him, not really ideal. Into the defence, went for Cash instead of Eze. That really was the main, well, to be fair, it was between three. It was between João Pedro, Eze and Cash for that final spot in the 11. Anyway, ended up with going for Cash because Everton are vulnerable down that side, and I was expecting a clean sheet from Villa this week, and that is what we got. Ended up with a 6-pointer. Get Gabriel playing tonight. I was one of those in game week 1 that didn't end up going for Saliba, and I thought it would be best to hold Gabriel because I think he will be playing. So again, we'll see what happens with the lineups tonight. Hopefully Gabriel plays and we get a clean sheet from Arsenal. Ben Chilwell looked like a fantastic option this week. I had him from the start. Unfortunately, only 1 point. Ended up with an early substitution around the 60th minute, which is quite unfortunate, but again, I still think he's going to be a great pick for future weeks. Estupinan, 11 points, one of the better goal scorers this week. And yeah, there's not really too much to say about him. He's very highly owned, so there's not too much gains to be made there. But it's good to see a return from one of the defenders. Rashford in midfield, only 2 points again. A pretty disappointing week again from Rashford. But again, we still get Forest this week, so we've got high hopes for him. Hopefully he can come good, maybe playing on the left-hand side. Salah, had him captain this week. Thankfully, he ended up beating Haaland's score. It wasn't really too much of a risk in my eyes. I think he was just the better captain. I only ended up getting a goal after the penalty miss, which was quite unfortunate. If he didn't miss that penalty, it would have been a fairly good week for him in captaincy. Saka we have tonight, hoping for a haul. Again, most people probably have Saka anyways, so you're not going to gain too much from that. But again, it's always good to see your players get good points. Mbeumo, 16 points, my player of the week so far. Again, fantastic. He's again one of the more popular players, but a lot of people don't have him. A lot of people opt for Mitoma or Diaby or someone similar like that at 6.5 million. And Mbeumo obviously got 2 goals, outscoring Mitoma. Fortunately, I don't have Mitoma, or I opted for Eze at the start of the season, which hasn't really worked out. But again, Crystal Palace have some good fixtures over the next few weeks, so hopefully he can make up for that then. Into the strikers, we went for Haaland, obviously. Not really much to say about him, didn't captain him, and it worked. João Pedro, unfortunately, with 0 points after getting booked. Unfortunately that looks like it was a bit of a poor choice to go with him over Eze. Hopefully Eze doesn't score tonight, otherwise I'll be quite disappointed. So obviously I'm sitting at 214,000 in the world, which I think is a very respectable rank, but having a look at the rank compared to everyone else in the game, I think it's looking really good actually. Obviously we're 60 points away from number 1 in the world. Can imagine number 1's probably used all of their chips so far anyways, so there's nothing really to worry about that. But 10 points away from the top 50k I think is great. 13 away from 25k, 17 from 10k. I think my rank's looking very respectable now. I think when you look at the team compared to what people might have tonight though, I think my rank might drop a wee bit. Obviously I've only got 2 Arsenal players, a lot of people will have 3. That'll be the players without, say, Salah, probably have Martinelli there as well. I think most people are going to have one of Gabriel and Saliba, Saka, and then again Martinelli. So praying for a Martinelli blank tonight. So moving on to this week's transfers then, the plan is to take out Salah and João Pedro and bring in Maddison and Jackson. Now that could end up changing because obviously we've seen that Maddison came left the stadium with crutches on. So again, Maddison was the original plan with Spurs' good fixtures, but if that happens, we will wait on any information and see what happens. I think instead of that, I'm taking out Salah anyway, so I can really go for any midfielder I want, considering Salah's the most expensive. So Richarlison, Foden, Luis Diaz, Matoma, 4 players that could be on the list. But again, as I say, I would prefer to have Maddison, but we'll see what happens with his injury. Salah, I just don't think after the Bournemouth game he's really going to be too worth it. I don't plan on captaining him anymore anytime soon, and I think at 12.5 million he's not really getting the returns you would expect. So as I say, Luis Diaz is a possible option, who's 5 million cheaper and is actually outscoring Salah in that Liverpool team. Now João Pedro, I'm also taking out. He was originally planned to come out. This was before Brighton played this weekend, so I know a lot of people now want to take him out after seeing the lineups and Pedro being on the bench. Now we know he's not officially nailed, so even more reason to take him out. But for me, he was always planned to come out because I planned on benching him for the next 3 weeks anyways. So I've got lots of money in the bank. I could have took out Mubama, who's my third striker, but I think I might as well save the extra million, take Pedro out and get Nicholas Jackson in for Chelsea's fantastic fixtures. So looking ahead to game week 3 then, this is how the team is going to line up. Obviously 3.9 million in the bank, that gives me lots of flexibility for the weeks in the future. But starting in goals, we're going for Johnson over Turner this week. Obviously Turner unfortunately failed miserably against Sheffield United at home, so I don't expect anything from Man United away. Therefore Johnson gets the call up against Brentford. Probably not going to keep a clean sheet considering the form of the Brentford attackers, but we are hoping for some saves in there. In the defence, we're going for Estupiñán, Chilwell and Gabriel, 3 players with fantastic home fixtures. I reckon you could easily see 5+ points from each of those. Estupiñán, hopefully another attacking return. Hopefully Chilwell can make up for this week against Luton with a attacking return as well. And Gabriel, as long as he's playing, should do fairly well against Fulham. Into the midfield, 5 in the midfield, 5 players again with fantastic fixtures. We're going for Eze, who has Brentford away. We'll see how he gets on tonight against Arsenal, but I think we could see another return from Eze this week, or his first of the season against Brentford. We've got Rashford with Nottingham Forest at home. That will be my final straw for him. I think even if he returns, he probably will come out next week. We'll need to see. But yeah, Rashford's in there against Forest. I think you definitely should be giving him another run out this week. Maddison's with Bournemouth away. Again, we'll see what happens with his injury news. That could end up being Richarlison with Bournemouth. That could end up being Luis Diaz as well. Or maybe even Foden, and they'll double up on the City attack. But we'll need to see again what happens with his injury. We're going with Saka with Fulham at home. Again, another fantastic fixture for Arsenal. Probably the last one before the fixtures kind of swap for Arsenal a bit. They get a bit dodgy with Man United and Spurs coming up. But I think he will do perfectly fine against Fulham. Then we have the inform Mbeumo against Crystal Palace at home. Again, would easily expect a return there as well. And again, he's on penalties, so hopefully Mbeumo can provide the goods. Into the attack, Haaland captain, no-brainer there, playing Sheffield United away. Sheffield probably look like the worst team in the league so far after the first 2 game weeks. And I think if you're not captaining Haaland, you're doing something wrong. And then we've got Nicholas Jackson, who also has just been transferred in. And again, no returns yet from him, but he has been looking good and getting into dangerous positions. And I think with Chelsea's upcoming games, he could be fantastic against Luton. And unfortunately, Matty Cash will be dropping to the bench this week after a clean sheet in game week 2. Cash with Burnley away could obviously do fairly well, but I think with the rest of the team, it's going to be very difficult to bench any of those players. So unfortunately, the 4.5 million defender Cash is dropping to the bench. And that wraps everything up for the Game Week 3 team then. Obviously, this is very dependent on the Maddison news. We'll need to see what happens with that. But if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.